Hello, everybody. Welcome to this brand new podcast. It's called the Long Way Around Podcast. I'm Tony Jackson. My friend here is...
Kevin Sullivan. It's great to be here.
I'm looking forward to this, Kevin. I'm looking forward to this. Now, how did this whole thing come about? How did this whole podcast come about? It's actually kind of interesting, right? Because I was at a voiceover conference. So I'm a voice actor. I was at a conference. I met one of your friends at this conference.
Yeah, Diana Durand at that conference, and she's been advising me on some potential acting opportunities. And she was like, "Hey, you should reach out to this guy Tony. You guys might potentially have the same disability."
And so you sent me a message on Instagram, which I hardly check, by the way. So I don't know how long that message had been sitting there. I looked at it and I was like, okay, who's this dude? And then I saw your picture and I was like, holy crap. I think you also have the same condition, which we'll get into in just a moment. I was like, I need to reach out to this guy. So I reached out to you. We got on a Zoom call. Sorry, Google. We got on a Zoom call and we started talking. And then we came to realize that I'm basically an older version of you.
It's pretty insane, honestly. I mean, you basically lived my life is the way I think I described it. We have very similar life experiences, which we'll get into, but it's wild how similar our upbringings have been.
Crazy, right? Yeah. So we both have a condition called Arthrogryposis Multiplex Congenita, too many syllables. Everybody just calls it AMC, right? And so what it is, basically, it is a condition from birth where your joints are affected. So we have limited range of motion in our legs, in our arms, and our hands, and all those things. Clearly not our mouths, though, for some of us. And some of us use wheelchairs, and some of us have what we call the good arthro and can walk. So I'm jealous of those folks. So yeah, right? So we started talking. We were like, we both have AMC, we both love sports, we both went to journalism school, broadcasting school,
both wanted to be radio broadcasters,
both wanted to be radio broadcasters,
and both ultimately didn't go into it for the same reason, which we'll get into.
Yeah, for the same reason. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit. And then again, we realized that I'm basically you in the future.
Yeah,
I'm a warning sign.
Every time we talk, it does kind of feel like that. It's like, wow, is this what I'll be like in like 15 years? Hey, it looks like a good future.
Yes, you will be single, living in an apartment, all alone with a cat.
All right.
That's your future.
Well, most of those things. I'm just missing the cat.
Get ready.
All right, sweet. Hey,
it's exciting.
Yeah.
So we decided, you actually brought the idea up to me. You said, we should start a podcast. And I said, okay, well, let's do it. What are we going to call it? And you had the genius idea of calling it the Long Way Around Podcast. Kevin, it's your idea. It's your name. I'm going to let you explain it to the people who might not get it.
For sure. I think that's a good idea. So the long way around refers to the idea that when you try to enter maybe an older building, the accessible entrance is usually around the side or around the back. So hence you have to take the long way around. And it's really a metaphor, I would say, for living with a disability. Oftentimes we have to find the path less traveled to accomplish whatever task we're trying to do in that moment. So I thought it was a pretty fitting name for a podcast such as this.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. You said you're working on founding a nonprofit organization and you wanted to call it that. And I said, no, the nonprofit cannot have this name. The name has to be for the podcast. It's perfect. Don't mess with it. And you said, okay, fine. So thank you.
I can't argue with that logic. I mean, It is a great name for a podcast.
It is. I actually have gone the long way around many times for many things, including my entire life. But there's one place, a bar in Tempe, Arizona called Casey Moore's. It's in an old historical home, and there's no way to get inside through the front of the side. So there is actually a really steep and kind of wet ramp that leads into the kitchen. So if I ever wanted to go inside the bar, I would have to climb up this ramp and go through the kitchen to get in there. And I remember one night it was raining in Arizona and Phoenix for some reason. And I go down this ramp and I slid down this ramp and almost ate it.
Yes, I've been there.
Yeah,
Been there, done that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. Everyone loves a good ramp into a bar, especially if it's near a trash can,
Oh,
like a dumpster.
oh, for sure. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure. So let's get into it then. Let's talk about it. Let's get into. By the way, for all of you watching right now, welcome to episode 1. Thank you for coming.
Woo! Episode 1.
Congratulations.
We did it.
Yeah. Let's see how long we stay.
We got to recording. Hey, we got to recording.
We're here. So this podcast is basically us talking about our lives with AMC or arthrogryposis. What it's like to live day to day, some of the things that we go through, some of the things that we deal with. And, this thing may expand into other areas at some point, but this is where we're starting now. So if you want to hear about it, stay tuned. And if you don't, there's plenty of other places you can go watch something that interests you more. But no, you should stay here. You should stay here.
We're pretty interesting.
It'll be cool.
Pretty interesting.
It'll be cool. Trust me, it'll be cool.
Yeah, it'll be a good decision if you stay tuned.
We think so.
Yeah.
We think so. Okay, so let's get into it then. Let's talk for a second. Kevin, you were born with arthrogryposis. I was born with arthrogryposis.
Different flavors, though, I would say.
Different flavors indeed. Let's talk about that for a second. Let's start with you. Now, we already established that our condition affects our limbs and joints. Now, what can you do and what can you not do?
What can I do and what can I not do? So physically, I have the flavor of arthrogryposis that allows me to walk. However, that's with the assistance of what are called AFOs or ankle foot orthotics, essentially plastic leg braces that just go from my foot to about my knee. So those typically, those are needed every day. But I need help with things like bathing, using the toilet, using the sink, brushing my teeth, things of that nature, eating, meal prep. So I need a good amount of assistance. And I use a power wheelchair for longer distances. So sometimes I use that, sometimes I don't. It really just depends on what task I'm doing in that moment.
See, there you go. See, cheater. He can walk. I cannot walk. I came out of the oven a fully baked loaf with legs that don't work. And I got one arm. That's sort of. I mean, this is my good arm. That's my good arm right there. I do everything with that, including operate my power wheelchair, which I'm currently sitting in because, unlike you, I can't walk. So
are you a righty?
I am a righty. It's a good thing because if it was my left hand, I'd be in trouble.
So I'm also a righty. I think this is interesting. I'm also a righty, but I type with my left hand and I do certain things with my left hand. Yeah. I only use one finger actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Dang. All right.
Fun fact.
Yeah. Okay. So now y'all can't see it, but I got these little T-Rex arms over here. And they're not very long and they don't do very much.
Don't worry, I also have the T-Rex arms.
Yeah.
I can't get them up to the camera, but
no, it's okay. Don't worry about it. We trust you.
Yeah.
We trust you. So I use a power wheelchair. I don't even drive with my hands. I drive with my forearm. And I need help with a lot of things, like you, bathing, dressing, meal prep, eating, all those things. Some things I can eat by myself if I want to do it like a horse or a dog off of a plate.
Yep, same.
But I need help with most things. Like if I want to eat, I don't know, if I want to eat soup, I mean, I could slurp it out of a bowl myself, but it's much easier to have somebody help me. Or like something super messy, like a chicken Parmesan sandwich, right?
Yes.
I need help with that, right? I shouldn't be limited to chicken wings my entire life, right? So yeah, I need help with all those things. I can type by myself. I use my mouth for a lot of things. I have a mouth stick that I use to type depending on the situation, depending on the environment. In this here, my recording studio, I have a keyboard. I can just swing in, swing out, and use my mouth to type. So yeah, I've been using a chair pretty much my whole life, ever since I was a little kid, which is why I'm so good at using it now. I'm a master.
People don't understand how much skill it takes. And so, one thing I forgot to add in my part is that I drive my wheelchair with my head, and that requires some skill for sure.
Yeah,
I've seen people try to hop in my chair, and they're bad at it.
it's tough, right? It's tough. I mean, but we've been doing it since we were like 4 or 5 years old, right? I
Right.
think when did you get in your chair first? Like when did you get your first one?
Well, I had a manual wheelchair first, so I didn't get my
Hmm.
first power wheelchair until I was about 11.
Wow, dang.
Yeah, a little bit later on,
Late
surprisingly. I'm not
bloomer
sure
over
why.
here.
Yeah, I'm not sure why.
Jeez. Yeah, I had my first chair. I was in like second grade, so that would have put me at like 7 or so years old when I started using a power chair. And back in the day, back in like the 1980s, right, when power chairs weren't really a thing, they were literally manual wheelchair frames with motors and belts on them, right? And I broke the shit out of those things all the time because I drove it hard. I'm a kid, right? Kids break things, right? And so I mean, like I've broken motors, I've broken wheels, I've busted bearings, I've flipped chairs over. I mean, like,
Done that.
dude,
Yep. You got to be careful with these things. They're really top heavy.
they were. I mean, they're better now. I mean, now,
Yeah.
40
Mine's top
something years
heavy.
later, technology has come a long way. Even though I will say I'm not a huge fan of this chair, I will not call out the manufacturer, Invacare. It was terrible, right? It's not a good chair. I don't like it, so I can't wait till I get my next one. Anyway, I digress. So you started using a chair around 11. I was around 7 or so when I started using my chair. And we've gotten good at it over the years. I don't really use a manual chair very much because can you push yourself in a manual chair?
I can't. No, I only use
Okay.
it when I'm traveling because
Okay.
I do not trust the airlines with my
Yeah,
wheelchair.
yeah.
I have a really bad experience and story on that one.
Oh man, I got so many travel stories which we can talk about another day.
Oh
So
yes.
many, so many travel stories. So I use a manual chair every once in a while, also like you when I'm traveling and the people I'm visiting don't have a vehicle that can accommodate my power chair, then I'll take a manual chair with me. So yeah. There you go. That's a basic rundown of our lives. Right? There's all kinds of stuff that we're going to talk about, but that's a basic general overview of who we are as people living with the AMC.
It's gonna be a great time.
It's going to be I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
One thing that I found over the years, and we could go on and on forever about this, but one thing I found over the years is that when people meet me, and tell me if you're kind of the same way, when people meet me for the first time, sometimes I'm the first person that they've ever met who uses a wheelchair, at least a power wheelchair, right?
Yeah. Oh,
And
I've definitely been there.
and people don't really know how to navigate that, right? Because like we've all seen these like stories and pictures and videos of like these poor little kids in wheelchairs and they're crying and they're suffering and all these other things, and they have no idea who we are. They have no idea what we've done with our lives, and so they don't really know how to navigate that,
Have you
right?
ever gotten where people are like, you're the first person with a disability I've met that quote unquote I can talk to?
I've never gotten that. No,
Oh, I've definitely gotten that
no.
one. Yeah.
Wow, like the rest of them were just complete jerks and they couldn't talk to that person?
Like, I think they mean someone with a purely physical disability.
Oh,
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
oh,
I've definitely gotten
no.
that one a few times.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. I've never gotten that one. No.
Oh, okay.
No. I used to get this I used to I used to hang out with this group of people and there was this guy who would like make jokes because I'm pretty sure I made him uncomfortable. And so he would make jokes to kind of like break the ice and like try to
Yeah.
be funny and do those things. And I'm like, guy, dude, I get it. Just, and it wasn't even funny, right? Like the dude wasn't even funny. He would just make off, off colored jokes, about me or the situation. And it just like, he just didn't know how to handle it.
Yep.
I mean, he's not my friend. He was never really my friend. He just happened to be a friend of a friend in that group. Right. So
I
I've
have
got,
someone in my life who literally fits this description, and
you should get
you
rid of that
literally
person.
have you. Yeah, I don't really talk to them much,
Good.
but it's so true. Yeah, when people are uncomfortable, they just make stupid jokes.
It's so ridiculous. And so like hopefully most people who are watching this know at least one of us. And if you don't, you're brand new and you don't know either one of us. First of all, thank you, algorithm, for bringing you here. Second of all, welcome. Third, just treat us like people, right? Just and ask questions. Like, we're grown ass adults. You can ask us questions. We've probably been asked just about everything that you can think of, including things you haven't thought of. So we're not going to get offended by it. Just ask questions, right? Like, if you don't know, just throw it out there and ask. One thing I love to do is when I'm with a group of new people and I don't really know anybody, and like say we're at a restaurant or something, I'll ask them to help me. I'll just ask them, hey, can you help me with this? Like, whether it's like a drink or food or something.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Usually there's some hesitation, but sometimes people are like, yeah, sure. What do you need? Right. Some people are just cool with it. They're like, yeah, what do you need? And then that's a great way to bond with somebody that doesn't know you. Right. It's a very intimate way to bond with somebody who doesn't know you. I love doing that.
But it's also really funny to see when people are really awkward about it, and they're like,
yeah,
I don't know if I'm doing this right."
Yeah. Oh yeah, I love that. Oh, I'm so bad at this. Oh no, I've never done this before. I know. I get it. Sounds like the better. No, never mind. No, seriously though, I get that sometimes, and people are so self-conscious about whether they're doing it right and all these other things, and I'm just like, just do it. Like,
just go for it.
Just go for it. Like, I mean, if I end up wearing some food, then we can laugh about it later, but surprisingly, most people are actually really good, right? Like, most people, like, I tell people sometimes, I go, think of me as a giant baby minus the throwing up.
Yeah, right? That's exactly, yeah.
Yeah, right?
I'm basically like your kid, except I won't spit it out back at you.
Yeah, I'm a giant baby who can talk and curse and won't spit my food back up, right? So just go with that.
Essentially,
it works.
I just tell people, just feed me like you feed yourself, and we'll be fine.
I don't know. Some people are savages when they eat. I don't want to be fed that way.
I mean,
some people are savages.
Well, okay, I do have to rein some people in, especially if they're making the food. Be like, hey, use less of this ingredient, maybe more of this. But generally speaking, that usually works.
Yeah. The one thing I find is that I have a giant mouth. Right. I have a high capacity eating vessel. Right.
Yes.
And people usually feed me tiny little bites. So when I said treat me like a baby, don't feed me portions like a baby, please.
Yes.
Grown ass.
I always say yes. I say give me grown ass man bites.
Yes. Give me grown ass man bites.
Yeah. None of that little kid shit.
No. I would put that on a t-shirt, but that could be construed in so many wrong ways. Give me grown ass man bites.
Yeah.
Sounds like a cool t-shirt. Not going to do it though.
We'll think on that one a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. Maybe when I go out on a first date, I'll have a shirt that says "Give me grown ass man bites." Yeah.
She'll be like,
this date's over. Goodbye.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Oh man. So goodness. Wow. Oh. So that's one thing that we have to contend with, right? Like meeting new people who've never been around people with disabilities before, right? And another thing that we have to contend with is just like the challenge of living every day, right? Like everybody's got their challenges. I get it, right? I get it. You stubbed your toe. If you have kids, you stepped on a Lego. If you don't have kids, you stepped on a Lego because you play with Legos, right? I get it, right? We all have our challenges. Some of us, though, deal with a little bit more, just a little bit more. And so for you, like, what are some of the challenges that you encounter regularly?
I would say, well, managing caregivers is number one for sure. I mean, I'm sure that's basically a job in and of itself, keeping that all straight. So I would say that, obviously the normal things of holding down a job and making money and trying to socialize with friends who maybe are at different points in their life than you're at. Disability living with a disability, I feel like, is a very it can be a very humbling experience at times, but it also, can remind you of, who you're closest to.
Mm-hmm.
Also,
Oh, for sure, I agree. Caregiver situations, people call out sometimes, people get sick, people want to go on vacation, all those things, right? Because they have their own lives too. Um, so there's that. There's also kind of like you said, like finding a job that you can hold down, right? What people don't understand is that, like, if you don't drive or you're unable to drive and you have to go somewhere for a job, you usually have to get up like 3 hours before you got to be at work, because it takes you that long to get ready and then get on the public transit to get to your job, right? And so, like, those are hours out of your day that you can't have to do other things. And so the thing that I find challenging is that, more so than other people, my time during the day is limited, right? Like, if I want to get up at 5 a.m, good luck finding a caregiver who's willing to get up at 3:30, 4 o'clock to get themselves ready and then get to me to get me up by 5, right? And if I want to stay up to midnight, good luck finding a caregiver who is willing to put you in bed at midnight and then go home afterwards, right? So usually for me, I get up at 7 a.m. I'm in bed by 9 or 10, right? Every day, which sounds great. Sounds great, but a lot of times I'm awake at 5 a.m., ready to go. And I just lay there and I drift off to sleep again, right? So there's that. So I got to manage my time, which sometimes I'm good at, sometimes I'm not. And then there's the thing for me too, like, if I forget something before my caregiver leaves, like, say, like, I forget to have them set out a snack for me, right? And then, like, nothing that I want or can get to is within reach. And so now I just got to sit here and just pretend like I'm eating food, until somebody shows up and saves me. That's how I ended up in a wheelchair. I forgot to have somebody set out a snack once, and I was like, oh God. I ended up in a wheelchair. So yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff, and we have a whole list of things that we want to talk about with this podcast, and we'll get to a bunch of them. Another thing, going back to what we were talking about before, is like, another challenge is dealing with people who just don't know how to deal with you, right? That's a challenge in and of itself, to go back to what we were talking about a few minutes ago. Just people who have no idea how to deal with you, right? Like, people ask the craziest questions. Right?
Well, it can manifest in that, but it can also manifest in, like, other ways too. Like, when you meet someone for the first time and they don't know how to shake your hand, or things like that.
It's a little awkward, right? Because they don't want to hurt you. They don't know what to do. And so I'm sure you run into this situation where you're with a group of folks who, like, you meet somebody new and, everybody gets a handshake and they look at you, go, oh, hi. And you're like, okay, cool. Yeah. All right. Cool.
Yeah. I get a fist bump or an elbow bump usually.
I usually get that too. Sometimes I don't even get that though. Sometimes it's just like,
sometimes it's just like an awkward, like, hey.
Hi. And then, then I gotta break the ice and be like, hey, it's okay. You can, bump elbows or whatever,
So I think something that helps with that is I'll let other people shake hands first.
Yeah.
And I'll let other people shake my hand first, and then I'll introduce myself to them.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. I like that.
Little hack.
There you go. I like that. Well, yeah, so you have those situations. You have situations like, I've had people, like, give me money, right? Like, I'm sitting there. I swear I was sitting there waiting for the bus one day, and this dude in his truck, he's got, like, all his gardening equipment in the back of his truck, and he's just sitting there. I don't know what he's filling up his truck or whatever. And like, he looks at me and, like, he pulls out his wallet, gets out of his truck, and hands me a $5 bill. Now, look, I don't really need your money, right? Because I have a job, first of all. I've got more than one job, by the way. Second of all, actually, thanks for the $5, because I need cash for other things. So, look, I ain't above taking some money. If you really want to give me money, sure, whatever. I'm no fool. Like, that's $5 more than I had before. Don't do it because I'm in a wheelchair, though.
Right.
Don't do it because you think I need your money because I'm so destitute and poor. All right, like, I wear decent clothes, right? I have a wheelchair that costs enough to buy you a tiny car, even though insurance paid for that. Thank you, insurance. But still, I'm like, I live at home. I pay rent. I pay my utility bills. I don't need your money. Now, if you want to give me money, okay, I'm not
going to. Everyone thinks we're poor.
Everybody thinks we're poor.
Like, oh, he's in a wheelchair. He must be poor.
He must not have anything. Look at him.
I went to a concert once with a female friend, just a friend, and some random guy comes up to us at the end as it's clearing out, and he gave us $100.
Really?
Yeah.
Who'd you
So apparently it pays to look like an interabled couple.
Yeah. Wait, who'd you go see?
It was a country concert.
Okay, whatever.
It was a few different acts.
Was it Florida Georgia Line?
No, I have seen them actually. Okay. I have seen them, but no, I know the band Perry was one of them, but I can't remember who the other acts were. It was a while ago.
It was like
a decade ago.
Okay, it was a country festival.
No, it wasn't a festival. Okay, it was at like it was a concert, but it was a holiday show. So there were like three different bands.
Oh, so this person was in the season of giving. Then here's $100. Here you go.
Here's $100. Yeah, it paid for the evening. I was like, okay, great.
Hell yeah, it did.
Yeah, even splitting it with my friend.
Yeah, it dinner, paid for the evening. Maybe a T-shirt or a keychain or a koozie or something. Hell yeah.
But like he gives us the money, and she just looks at me and she's like, "Should we accept this?" And I was like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, 100.
Yeah, just go with it.
Look, I have morals, but if you're gonna give me $100, I'm not gonna say no.
I have morals to a degree.
I have morals. I have standards.
$100 is $100.
Yeah, seriously, seriously. That's like my electric bill for a month, right? I'm no fool.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's like okay. Sweet.
Person who's got enough disposable income to give me $100. Thank you.
That was so random.
Good for you. I mean, like all the time, like people give me money. So I've had people ask me, and if you're religious, turn this off now. I've had people ask, can I pray for you? Right? Like prayer is going to fix this here. Prayer is not fixing this, folks. All right. Like if I die I'm going to die at some point. When I die, if I go to heaven, maybe my body will be free and then I can be the professional athlete I always wanted to be on this mortal coil here. But I've had people ask me to pray for me. My mom, my mom's a pretty religious woman. And I remember one day I'm getting off the bus from school, right? And I rode the regular bus with everybody else. It just happened to have a wheelchair lift in the back of the bus. And so I'm getting off the bus, driver's dropping me off. And like I'm down on the ground now, and my mom's friends, her church friends, come out, and like they all surround me as I'm still on the lift. I'm like 13. You got to imagine this is mortifyingly embarrassing, okay? Because they got all the other kids waiting to go home, right? And my mom's friends surround me on this lift. They put their hands on my shoulder and my head, and they start praying for me in Korean. And I'm like, oh, and I wanted to die and go to heaven in that very moment.
Yeah, I can imagine. I would.
It was, man. And I have another story. Do you have any? Have people wanted to pray for you too?
Oh my God, yes.
Are you cured?
Clearly, obviously, that's why we're doing this podcast. I won't say who, but I was brought to a faith healer as a baby, apparently.
Was it Joel Osment or like Joel Osment?
I don't think so. I don't know. Okay. I don't know who it was, but I won't say who brought me there.
Okay, don't.
Someone brought me to a faith healer when I was a baby. Clearly, it worked. Obviously, so this was weird. It happened in the same spot on the same street within like 3 weeks of each other. Twice, this happened. The first time I was rolling somewhere and all of a sudden this car pulls over and it's these two women and they're like, hey, can we pray for you? And I'm like younger at this point. This was like a decade ago, probably. And I'm like, sure. So they get out of their car and like they pray for me and everything. And I'm just like, okay, great. So have a good day. It was weird. And then the next time, a few weeks later, this was even weirder. A school bus pulls over on almost the exact same spot. And this driver is like, hey, wait a second. Hold on a second. And he parks the bus and he gets off the bus and he walks across the street. He's like, son, can I pray for you? And I'm like, yeah, sure. I didn't know what he was going to say. And then he looks at me and he's like, "Are you Christian?" And I'm like, not quite." Because
Not
I
quite
grew
like
up
you were working toward it.
not quite. Well, I grew up in a pretty Jewish area, and I come from a multi-religion household. So I have a Jewish mom and a Catholic father. So and I consider myself agnostic, and even back then I was pretty agnostic. So I was like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna like lie to you." He prayed for me, and then he went on his merry way. But yes, I've definitely experienced this.
Man, I remember one time. So as we established at the very beginning, we both pursued broadcasting. So I'm coming home from my college radio station one night, go Arizona State Sun Devils. I'm coming home from college radio station one night, Blaze 1260 AM, and I finished my shift. I'm heading home. I live on the other side of campus. And so I'm like rolling through campus, just like cruising along, and I pass by this group of young gentlemen on campus, and I'm rolling, just minding my own business. And after about 15 seconds, I hear a bunch of footsteps rapidly approaching, and these dudes ran me down, and we're like, "Whoa, hey, dude, hey, can we just we saw you, and we just wanted to pray for you." And so this goes, you telling your story, me telling these stories, go and prove the adage that if you ask a question, most people will just say yes. Most people will just say yes.
Mhm.
Because what did I do? I was like, yeah, God, yeah, sure, okay, fine, whatever. And so,
Well, because you don't want to be the asshole,
I
you
mean,
know.
yeah, I mean, true. So
And if you say no, and if you say no, sometimes they'll try harder.
I mean, then they'll dig in deeper, right?
Yeah.
And so they all surround me. There's like 5 or 6 of them, and they all surround me, and they put their hands on my shoulders. One of them like puts his hand on my head, and they're praying for me, and like praying for me to cure my disease, and that my arms and legs would like spring out and be cured, and I can live my life and all these other things, and this was like 12, 15, 20 years, I don't even know at this point, a long time ago, like 4 presidents ago, and I'm still in the chair, folks.
Yeah.
I
told myself that the next time it happens, and I'm not trying to gloat about the disability, but like I think the next time it happens, I'm going to just stand up and pretend I'm cured.
I want you to. Actually, I was getting ready to say that. Next time somebody does that, I want you to get out of your chair and try to take a step and then flop over, right? And then fall and eat it, right? On the ground. You're like, oh my God, I've been failed. Right? Right? Why?
That's a great idea.
Why?
Yeah. I'll take one step and then immediately just eat it.
Right. No, you need to take like 2 or 3 to make it believable.
Yeah. Okay. 2 or 3. There we go.
Take a couple and then fall over, and then you're like, great, guys. Now I have a concussion. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. So I mean, as all of you, if you're still around, by the way, if you're still around,
we may have just lost like a third of the
everybody's
okay.
gone. Everybody's
that's
gone.
Okay.
But if you're still around, like when you have a physical, outwardly visible disability, like you deal with a lot of stuff. I
think it's fair to say you just deal with a lot of just different kinds of people.
You do.
I feel like it's like the nicest way to say that.
Yes. It takes a village, right? It takes a village. Or what is that saying? Something about like it takes all kinds, right? It takes all kinds, right? And some kinds are well-meaning, but quite not hitting the mark. And others are great. Others are great. So yeah, we deal with a lot. And that's okay. We're built for this, because one thing that most of us who especially have physical disabilities share, is that we're awesome problem solvers. Not all of us. Some of us freak out and just like, nah, I don't want to do this. But a lot of us are fantastic and creative problem solvers.
You gotta be like MacGyver with this shit.
Yeah. And people are like, oh my God, you're so smart. I'm not really smart. I've just been doing this a long time. Right? Just been doing this a long time.
Yeah.
I'm sometimes dumb as rocks. Sometimes I make some dumb as rocks decisions. And sometimes I'm like, yeah, okay. Maybe that rock, did something right. Yeah,
When that happens, I call that a beautiful mind moment.
There you go.
Yeah.
And it is, right? It's a beautiful mind moment. And every once in a while, with my exquisite, elite problem-solving skills, I even impress myself.
Same.
Every once in a while, I'm like, damn, Jackson, that was good. That was good. That was
Yeah.
impressive.
Yeah.
Every once in a while. So yeah, that's us in a nutshell. That is Kevin. That is Tony. Two dudes living with AMC. In case you missed the beginning, I am basically an older version of Kevin. Right.
It's true.
And so with episode 1 of the Long Way Around podcast, this is just basically an introduction about us. And as we go forward, we're going to talk about all kinds of things, all kinds of stuff. We're going to talk about like where we went to school, how education went for us. We're going to talk about dating and like romance. We're going to talk about caregivers. We're going to talk about traveling. We're going to talk about like just everything. Everything is on the table. And
disability is all encompassing, right?
It is. We'll probably bring in special guests one day, right? If you're a wrestling fan, I don't know if you've seen Lex Luger, the old wrestler, is in a wheelchair these days. I'm gonna have Lex Luger on our show one day. Let's do it.
That'd be sweet.
We can talk about how he went from being the total package to now using a wheelchair. One day we'll have Lex Luger on. So yeah, we're gonna talk about all kinds of stuff. So if you made it this far, thank you very much for joining us today. This has been episode 1. And Kevin, I gotta say, that was pretty good.
Yeah. I think we had some pretty interesting conversations.
I think that was pretty good.
Hopefully the audience thinks so. Hopefully the algorithm thinks so.
Hopefully the algorithm thinks so. But you know what? Whatever. I'm not here to satisfy the algorithm gods. I'm here to satisfy the people.
Of course.
Right?
People before algorithms always.
That's right. Algorithms change on a whim. People are here forever.
Exactly.
That's right.
I love it.
That's right.
We need to put that on a plaque behind you.
Yeah. Okay. I'm all for it. Algorithms change on a whim. People are here forever. It's a lot of words, though. It's a lot of words.
It might be a big plaque, but
it's going to be a huge plaque. It's going to be a giant plaque.
Yes.
So yeah, there we go. That's it. That is episode 1 of the Long Way Around podcast. I'm Tony.
And I'm Kevin.
That's Kevin. We'll be back next time. I don't know what we're going to talk about next time. Oh, we're going to talk about kids. Oh, yeah, we're going to talk about kids. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Not having kids, dealing with other people's kids. Oh, yeah. You want to come back for that one for sure.
Just remember, kids say the darndest things.
Kids do say the darndest things.
It is very true.
And we're going to share some stories next time. So come back. We'll talk about kids, probably talk about your kid. So come on back. All right. Until next time. Goodbye. Fare thee well.
So long, everyone.